Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. We are back talking about the IPL, and haven't you all missed it? Today we've got a double header to go over. It's not really a double header, just didn't do one yesterday. Sunrisers versus Mumbai and Lucknow versus KKR. Because in true Cricket Nerds fashion, we did a podcast all about England, and the very next day, loads of news comes out. But we'll talk about that in a different podcast. James, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing brilliantly, mate. I thought yesterday's game between Sunrisers and Mumbai, it was one that I'd kind of written off because it just didn't interest me that much. Because I just thought, well, Sunrisers, they're almost out. They're pretty much out of the tournament. They're out of the running. And then Mumbai are obviously out of the running. So I just thought it was a bit of a nothing game. Oh, it was far from it. It was probably the best game of the season. So we started off with a new opening partnership of Abhishek Sharma and Priyam Garg. So finally, Williamson has done what he should have done pretty much at the start of the season and dropped himself down into the middle order where he belongs. And Priyam Garg replacing Williamson was brilliant. 42 off 26.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Williamson hasn't been able to do that all season. So well impressed with him. And then in at one down, Rahul Tripathi, the most consistent man and the most consistently underrated player in India, in my opinion. He is so good. And yeah, 76 off 44. Those numbers speak for themselves. He's in unreal form at the moment. And honestly, India would be a better side if they put Rahul Tripathi in instead of Kohli. And I know that is one of those like really controversial things to say, but I think everyone in their heart of hearts will agree with me that at the moment, Tripathi is a better cricketer in T20 than Virat Kohli. And then, yeah, Kane Williamson at one down actually batted over 100 strike rate. So that was good. Yeah, that's pretty much what I took from the Sunrisers innings. Other than that, it was relatively bog standard. Pooran got a couple of runs, which is always good to see. But yeah, they ended up on 193. So Ben, I don't know what you thought of the Mumbai bowling for that.
Yeah, okay. Pooran actually had the exact same strike rate as Tripathi. Just that's a fun fact.
It is a fun fact.
The bowling of Mumbai, it's just been a bit poor. Like, Jasprit Bumrah was probably the pick of the seamers. He was the only one that really looked decently tight. Oh no, Ramandeep Singh obviously was the best bowler because he, with his medium pace, took 3 wickets and went for sixes. Bumrah also chipped in with going at ace, but then the rest of them just sort of got smashed, and they were bowling at in-form Tripathi and in-form Nick Pooran, so it's never going to be very easy, is it? Riley Meredith, I think he doesn't warrant his space, and Daniel Sams just bowling. I don't even know what he's been bowling. I think they've been forced into that though, because the rest of their side haven't quite been doing their bit with the ball. I'd actually quite like to see Mumbai still having Pollard in the side, not having a Tristan Subs who's doing nothing, and then bowling Tim David more, because I've been saying this all tournament, Tim David can bowl. Like, they should just use it. But yeah, it was pretty poor all round. They bowled arguably smelly, aside from Bumrah and Ramandeep Singh, who, yeah, was definitely the standout. But then Mumbai came out and tried to reply, and it was very close.
It was
3 runs in the end. They really made a good hash of it. But with Captain Rowett leading from the front and falling short of yet another 50. What do you sort of think of that knock from Rohit?
It was good to see him get some runs because, yeah, he's been awful all season, to be honest. I think he's had another 40 odd this season. But yeah, he's been so short of runs, and he's obviously at the top of the order. It takes a really important spot. So it was good to see him and Ishan Kishan get them off to an absolute flyer, really. And then Daniel Sams sort of came in at number 3, which I always find weird because he's kind of
not a number 3.
I really don't know where Daniel Sams should bat. because
Not number
sometimes,
3.
well, yeah, sometimes he bats really well, and like sometimes he'll just hit sixes after sixes, and it's like a bit of a pinch hitter move. So from that respect, I kind of get it. But on the other hand, you've got better players, so just play your better players. So yeah, something interesting with Mumbai is they obviously have dropped DeWalt Brevis, and Timor Mills is out of the competition because he's injured. They replaced Timor Mills with this other young South African, a wicketkeeper batsman called Tristan Stubbs, who has been trash. And I don't understand why they've played him twice now over DeWald Brevis, because they finally dropped Kyron Pollard, and that was definitely the right decision. And Tim David, let's talk about his knock of 46 off 18, absolutely brilliant. He's finally sort of justified his paycheck. Kyron Pollard has not. So they finally dropped him, but why they haven't brought DeWalt Brevis in is beyond me. I want to talk about Tim David's 6. Well, his third 6 against Natarajan in that over 114 meters. Oh my goodness. It was a 6 of violence. Did you see it? It was like Liam Livingston's 117 meter 6. It was like, that was a really good 6. But Tim David seemed just like harsher almost.
He's a man he strikes a long ball.
He does.
He strikes a long ball.
He hit it so hard.
I get what you're saying so much about that Mumbai side, because they just don't seem to know what they're doing. I think next year Mumbai are going to look frightening. Like if they have Suryakumar Yadav on the top of the order, if they have DeWalt Brevis at number 3, Sky at number 4, Varma at 8, Tim David at 9, and then a bowling attack of Jasprit Bumrah, Jofra Archer, and then one of like Mills or Sams or Meredith. That's a good side. All they need to do is pick up a good spinner, a good, someone that can bowl 4 overs every game, and they'll be a frightening side next team.
Tell you what, Murugan Ashwin, actually, I don't really know why they dropped him, because he was actually bowling all right for Mumbai, but they've obviously played Mark Handy this time, which hasn't paid off. But yeah, what do you think of the Sunrisers bowlers, particularly Umran Malik? Because he got a bit of tap in the first over.
I mean, Malik just bowled rockets. Like after that first over, he was pushing the pace up. He was hitting the spot again. He's such an exciting player to watch, because like he just bowls such rockets. It could go anywhere. Like it could go and get smit off the bat and go for an easy 4. It could smash into the middle of the stumps and send the bails for a 6. Like honestly, Umar Malik, he's such an exciting bowler to watch. I think that India, because after this IPL, he's definitely going to be on the radar for an IT20 cap. India really need to make sure that they look after him and don't break him. They need to learn from the mistakes of England and not break their young good bowlers, because like he is such a prospect for the future. Bhuvi did Bhuvi things, bowled 4 overs, took a wicket, didn't go for many. Fazal Farooqi, I hadn't really seen much of him. He looked all right. Natarajan though, he's
been off the boil, hasn't he?
The only thing that he did to redeem himself was run out Tim David. I think had he not done that, he'd have been in some serious trouble, because his arrested bowling wasn't particularly very good. Excuse me. Oh.
I definitely think that overall, Mumbai managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah, because they had the game in hand, and Tim David trying to steal that extra run was so unnecessary. They still had 12 balls. Like that, it wasn't a difficult ask. So I think really Mumbai will be kicking themselves, because obviously it doesn't mean anything at this stage, but just for the sake of your fans, you got to win some games. You got to show that in future seasons, you have got a team that can win. So yeah, I thought it was poor from Mumbai overall. But let's move on to today's game, which was Lucknow versus KKR. And we've had a few records broken here, including the I think it's the first time ever that a team batting first has not lost a wicket and batted all 20 overs.
Really?
I think it's the first time ever.
In the IPL?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Particularly Quinton de Kock. So 140 off 70 balls. 140 runs off 70 balls. That is insane. That is so impressive. So, it was just Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul. KL Rahul, on the other hand, 68 off 51, which is kind of like a bit of a typical KL Rahul innings where he's sort of farmed, a 50. Like he probably should have gone quite a bit quicker than that. But striking 130, you'd think on a difficult pitch that's all right. But to say Quinny went at 200, I think KL Rahul left them a bit short. Is a bit selfish potentially, but wow. Just wow. What an innings from Quinton de Kock. Absolute man of the match every day of the week there. I was so impressed. But yeah, the bowling from KKR, they seemed a little bit lost. Other than Sunil Narine, which again, he's just been amazing all season, so economical. And it seemed like they battered him out a bit. Other than him, nobody really had an answer. Nobody could get them under wraps, and Andre Russell bowled absolute trash, and I think it influenced his batting a bit. What did you think of the KKR chase? Because they were chasing down 210, which is a huge total.
I think it was a very good chase. I think the fact, though, that Quinton de Kock was dropped 3 times.
Yeah, that's criminal.
Was probably the most costly thing. Like, he was dropped on 12, dropped on 68, and then dropped on 127.
Catches win matches, folks. You heard it here. Ninth.
I think they are some expensive catches.
Yeah.
The KKR chase, though, it got off to the worst start ever in losing Venkatesh and Tamar quite early on. Tamar, it was the 6th opening partnership KKR have had. So there's definitely some issues there. I bet they can't wait till next year to retain Alex Hales and have him in that opening spot. Because honestly, if KKR had a player like Hales this year, it would have changed the whole game for them this year, I think. But they had that. They had Tamar Open who just spooned one over off Moishin Khan, and then on the catch in the first over of Venkatesh Iyer, Quinton de Kock pulled off a screamer with that catch. So de Kock, pulled off a screamer with that catch. But then they looked really good in that chase. Rana, Shreyas, and Rinku Singh and Rana, Shreyas, and Sam Billings all chipped in. They did the right things. Sam Billings ran down the wicket to 1 too many and managed to get himself stumped. Shreyas I finally got a wicket for Stoinis, and Nitesh Rana, again, it was a pretty good catch by Stoinis. But yeah, it was a interesting way to do it. But the fact that a chase of 210 came down to the last ball, needing 2 off it, was incredible. I think Rinku Singh deserves a definite shout out for how he batted that last over. I mean, for it to go 4-6-6-2 off Stoinis, so they need 20 to win off the over. 4-6-6-2. So straight away you're up to 18. You're like, oh, they could do it now. 3 off 2 needed, and then Stoinis comes out and pulls out the luckiest win I've ever seen. Although it did take, I would say, the catch of the tournament to remove Rinku Singh. Evan Lewis, take a bow. He ran at least 30 yards, stuck out that left hand and just clung onto it. And I mean, that hands down is the catch of this year's tournament, especially game situation as well. And then, Stoinis managing to, they need 2 off the last, 3 to win, 2 for a super over. And then to Umesh Yadav, he just chucks in a Yorker and takes out his stumps. So, like, it was such a good end to that game. And it was a more exciting end than it deserved to be after the score that Lucknow put up. But it was an extremely good chase. And it took some great bowling from Stoinis and Moishin Khan to sort of do that. I mean, what did you think of sort of Moishin Khan? I think he was the standout for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think, everybody else going at over 8s at least. And Moishin Khan at 5 and over and took 3 wickets. Standout. Really, really impressive. Quite an exciting prospect, I think, for Lucknow. A special shout out to Avesh Khan, because we slated Natarajan for his horrible performance. Avesh Khan also had a horrible performance. So, there's equality there. You need to always pick out when somebody is trash, especially when you yourself are a poor player, because it makes you feel better. So that's where we're at. Do we have any Cricket Nerds questions?
We don't. We've not been left any Cricket Nerds questions.
Well, this is terribly sad. Please leave a Cricket Nerds question, because we like the chat. We like the interaction with you guys. So,
we've had a good little bit of chat in the comments about sort of the toothless bowling in the 2nd division of the county championship. Shout out to Am already. Rick and Patel feel sorry for Matt Parkinson. They take him in the squad for every series and he never gets a go. He's not going to get another go. We've just seen that from the squad today. So there was a little bit of England chat in there. But leave us some Cricket Nerds questions. If you're still watching, drop us a hashtag Save the Cricket Nerds, because the channel's going to the dogs. We've not got any views. Hashtag Save the Cricket Nerds, if you're still here. But with that, I think we can call it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure once again to bring you some cricket content. Remember to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Listen to our podcasts on all the different podcast sites. Social media, at Cricket Nerds Pod, Facebook and Twitter. Not Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And aside from that, we'll see you tomorrow for another IPL video.